Right friends, welcome back to question and answer session, module number 9. This module as usual will have 24 questions. Let us look at the first question. Which of the following is not a policy rate under RBI's monetary policy? All of you are well aware RBI's monetary policies, policy rates include repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank rate, marginal standing facility rate. These are the policy rates, and base rate is not part of RBI's monetary policy because the base rate is to be decided by the individual banks based on the report given by Asset Liability Management Committee of each and every bank. Right friends, look into the next one. What are the primary objectives of repo? In the bi-monthly monetary policy, monetary policy of RBI is held 6 times in a year, bi-monthly monetary policy. These policy rates as well as the reserve ratios. Policy rates means repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank rate, marginal standing facility rate. These rates, reserve ratios are cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. These two ratios as well as these policy rates are reviewed once in 2 months. And what is the main purpose of repo rate? The basic purpose of fixing repo rate is it gives a signal to the market about the short term interest rates. It gives a signal to the market. Not only that, it improves the short term management of liquidity. Because of repo, banks can access some funds of RBI. Banks can access certain funds of RBI under repo channel, and this basically for improving the short term management of liquidity, because no one can anticipate how much money a bank require on day-to-day basis. Some days banks may require more money, some days they may be left with more money, some days they may require money, sometimes they may be surplus in cash. When they are surplus in cash, they park with RBI. RBI will pay some interest, that is reverse repo. If they are in need of some money, they take some money from RBI, that is at repo rate. So repo and reverse repo, these are basically to overcome short-term liquidity problems. So first one is for improving short-term management of liquidity, and the second one is to even out interest rates in the call or notice money market. If there is no repo rate system, if there is no marginal standing facility, these repo, marginal standing facility, if these facilities are not given by Reserve Bank of India, then what will happen? There is every possibility that there will be high volatility in the market as far as short-term interest rates are concerned. That means people may exploit depending on the situation. That's why as a first line of defense, RBI has given this facility, that is repo rate. If banks are in need of certain cash, they can approach RBI as the first line of defense. If that is exhausted, they can still take more money under marginal standing facility. If that is also exhausted, then they will go to other bank or financial institution to borrow money on short-term basis. That means the main purpose of repo is for improving short-term management of liquidity. The second point is to even out interest rates in the call money market. To even out interest rates in the call money market. That means to prevent exploitation by other financial institutions, the volatility of rates will be reduced with this repo and marginal standing facility. Right friends? For banking industry, which of the following modes of transaction entails the least cost? All of you are well aware about ATMs. You can go to ATM and withdraw money. All of you are well aware about internet banking. Third one is mobile banking. First one is brick and mortar branch. What is brick and mortar branch? That means when you are going to the bank physically, to the branch of the bank, that is called brick and mortar branch. When you are visiting bank branch, that is called brick and mortar branch. and they have to take office space for lease, they have to pay salaries to the employees. That's why the cost in the banking system is the highest in brick and mortar branch. For each customer, bank has to spend more expenditure in brick and mortar branch and the least expenditure in mobile banking. Least expenditure in mobile banking and the highest expenditure in case of brick and mortar branch. Please don't forget. Look into the next one. Banking services delivered to a customer by means of a computer control system that does not directly involve bank branch. You need not go to the bank. You can manage your banking operations without visiting the bank branch, and all the services you can access through your online account. This is known as virtual banking. This is known as virtual banking because you are connected to the bank branch remotely through internet. Right? Because of the technological advancement, there is no need for us to go to the bank branch. Most of the services are available online and this is called virtual banking. Look into the next one. Read the following with regard to grant of loans. Agriculture, MSMEs, high value corporate loans. Out of the above, which qualifies for priority sector lending? All of you are well aware. Banks have to lend 40% of their advances to priority sector. Priority sectors means without the special provisions, banks may not go to that sectors. They are priority sectors. One such sector is agriculture. Second one is MSME sector. Micro, small and medium enterprises. These two comes under priority sector lending but not loans to corporates. Loans to corporates do not come under priority sector, but agriculture, MSMEs comes under priority sector. Look into the next one. From times immemorial, which of the following is playing the role of last mile connectivity in the socio-economic chain? If you look into the socio-economic chain in our country, since times immemorial, or non-banking financial institutions delivering their services across the country, even in remote rural areas. So here the answer is NBFCs because public sector banks or private sector banks or universal banks, they were not in existence. They are expanded during the past 30-40 years, but prior to that, several non-banking financial institutions probably registered or not registered. Poor regulation may be there, but in one form or the other, they were in existence for several years and still they are in existence with a little more regulation nowadays. So, non-banking financial companies are in existence from the times immemorial. Right, friends? Which of the following is not introduced to reduce volatility in overnight lending rates in interbank market? We have already discussed this repo rate as well as the marginal standing facility. They are basically to reduce volatility in the short term interest market. That means if banks are in need of money on daily basis because of their liquidity fluctuations, first line of defense is Reserve Bank of India. They go to Reserve Bank of India and borrow money at repo rate interest. And if that is exhausted, they will tap the funds under marginal standing facility. If that is also exhausted, then they will go to the private party or they will go to the call money market outside. That means basically repo rate and marginal standing facility, this repo platform or repo channel you can say, and I say repo rate, that is interest rate. But if I say repo channel, that is the channel under which banks can take short term loans from RBI. So repo channel as well as marginal standing facility, these two are to prevent short-term volatility in the short-term money market. To prevent volatility in the call money market, whereas the bank rate is for long-term loans, that is not for short-term. So the answer here is bank rate, right? Minimum amount which can be accessed through marginal standing facility window. After repo, we have just now discussed, there will be another window, that is marginal standing facility. Under marginal standing facility, the minimum amount which a bank can borrow is rupees 1 crore. A bank can borrow under marginal standing facility, minimum amount is rupees 1 crore. Please don't forget. Ways and means advances are to be repaid in 3 months. State governments may have their own liquidity problems. They have to pay salaries to the staff, they have to pay bills to several persons. When they have liquidity problems, they can borrow money from Reserve Bank of India. States can borrow money from Reserve Bank of India. They are called ways and means advances. They are called ways and means advances, and ways and means advances are to be repaid within 3 months by state governments. Please don't forget, ways and means advances are to be repaid by state governments within 3 months. Look into the next one. Financial inclusion means provision of financial services, namely payments, remittances, savings, loans, as well as insurance. If all these products are made available to the common man in the country, that is called financial inclusion. Some people put it in different perspective. Financial inclusion means bringing people into the organized financial system is a financial inclusion, and some people say making available loans as well as the insurance products is financial deepening. Some people say bringing persons into the organized financial system, that means opening bank accounts, is the financial inclusion, and giving loans as well as making available insurance products is the financial deepening. But if you look into the exact meaning of financial inclusion, probably the exact meaning is not only opening the bank accounts but also making available loans as well as insurance products to the common man, that is the financial inclusion. So the answer here is point number 1, right? In NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission, L stands for livelihood. NRLM was started in the year 2011 by replacing Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana or SGSY. By replacing SGSY, SGSY was started in the year 1999. By replacing SGSY, National Rural Livelihood Mission was brought in the year 2011, basically to create livelihoods to the people across the country. Basically to create livelihoods, this National Rural Livelihood Mission was brought in the year 2011 June. Right, friends? Look into the next one. When the cash credit account is out of order. What is cash credit account? You are into the business of manufacturing computers. You are into the business of, let us assume, you are into the business of manufacturing computers. You have manufactured 1,000 computers, but you are yet to sell them. You have manufactured 1,000 computers, but you have not yet sold those computers. As you have not sold the computers, your money flows are hampered. That means your cash flows are hampered and you are in need of money. And what the bank will do? Bank will allow you to have cash credit account. Bank will allow you for cash credit account against your manufactured goods. that is cash credit account. That means you can take bank's funds, up to the limit prescribed by the bank, that is cash credit account. You can access bank funds up to the limit prescribed by the bank, that is cash credit account. And you have to repay regularly. If you are not paying back for 90 days, it is considered as out of order. The account is considered as out of order if you are not paying back up to 90 days. Here cash credit account will become out of order, just like a loan becomes non-performing asset. Right friends? Look into the next one. Which of the following indicates credit weakness which may lead to liquidation? The answer here is a doubtful asset. Asset means loan. We have discussed several times. Asset means loan. Bank has given loan, but the customer is not paying back. If he is not paying back the loan, that means he is not servicing the loan for 90 days, it becomes NPA, non-performing asset. If the customer is not servicing the loan for 90 days, it becomes NPA. After the loan becomes NPA, first 12 months is substandard asset. Please remember, please listen carefully. Bank has given loan to the customer and the customer is supposed to pay back to the bank every month. But he is not servicing the loan regularly, and after 90 days of the failure of the customer, it becomes a non-performing asset or NPA. Once the loan becomes NPA, first 1 year up to 12 months it is a substandard asset. That means there is some problem with that loan. First 12 months it is substandard asset. Once it crosses 12 months, it is a doubtful asset. That means there is a credit weakness and that fellow may not be able to pay altogether. Right? Look into the next one. DRAT. A stands for DRAT means Debt Recovery Appellate Tribunal. All of you are well aware about debt recovery tribunals. Debt recovery tribunals were established to solve the problem of non-performing assets, but they could not function with the expected effectiveness. That means if the party is not satisfied with the judgment given by the debt recovery tribunal, then they can approach debt recovery appellate tribunal. Anywhere appellate authority means, in any organization, appellate authority means if you are not satisfied with the judgment given by the person, you can approach appellate authority. Similarly, if you are not satisfied with the verdict given by debt recovery tribunal, you can approach debt recovery appellate tribunal. So DRAT means debt recovery appellate tribunal. Look into this question. Which of the following was found by Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal? Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal are the founders of Flipkart. Please don't forget. Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal are the founders of Flipkart. And Snapdeal was found by Kunal Bahal. Right? Please don't forget. In term loans, the repayment schedule indicating the components of principal and interest is known as amortization schedule. You have taken a loan. You have taken house loan with a period of 15 years. That means you have to service the loan 180 months. Every month you will pay fixed EMI. EMI is equated monthly installment. Out of the payment you are making every month, there are two elements in that. One is the principal, second one is interest. One is principal and second one is interest. Every month principal and interest will vary. As the time passes, interest will be reduced, principal will increase. both put together will be the same. But interest and principal will vary as the time passes, and that schedule indicating how much principal you are paying back, how much interest you are paying back, that schedule is called amortization schedule. Please don't forget. That schedule is called amortization schedule. And as far as loan is concerned, please don't forget, servicing of the loan is paying back the loan, and the schedule indicating what is the interest you are paying, what is the principal you are paying every month. Please don't forget, EMI will be same, monthly installment will be same, but out of that monthly installment, every month principal and interest will vary. That is amortization schedule. These terms please don't forget. Branch of the domestic bank located in SEZ within the country. Within the SEZ, with some special powers, banks will be established. SEZ is basically special economic zone. Several tax concessions will be there for the industries established in special economic zone. Similarly, when the bank is established in special economic zone, the name given to it is offshore banking unit. When the bank is established in special economic zone, the name given to it is offshore banking unit. Please don't forget, they will have some relaxations when the bank is established in special economic zone, like relaxations in terms of CRR, SLR requirements, etc. Please look into the next one. When a bank returns a check unpaid, it is called dishonor of the check. Whatever the reason, there may not be sufficient money in the bank account, then bank returns that check unpaid. The name given technically to this operation is dishonor of the check. Whatever the reason, check is not encashed, bank is not in a position to honor the check, that name given to this process is dishonor of the check. Please don't forget. Look into the next one, Jaguar Land Rover. Jaguar Land Rover is owned by Tata Group. Please don't forget, Jaguar Land Rover is owned by Tata Group, and Tata acquired this Jaguar Land Rover in the year 2008. Please don't forget. Right, friends? Look into the next question. Who releases a State of the World Population Report? Who releases State of the World Population Report? State of the World Population Report is released by United Nations Organization, United Nations Fund for Population Activities, or United Nations Population Fund. Previous name was United Nations Fund for Population Activities, and the present name is United Nations Population Fund. It is the United Nations organization headquarters with New York, and this organization releases a State of the World Population Report. State of the World Population Report is released by UNFPA. Where is the headquarters of Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC? GCC is a 6-member group headed by Saudi Arabia. 6-member group headed by Saudi Arabia, established in the year 1981. There are 2 power blocks in the Gulf nations. One is headed by Iran. The second one is headed by Saudi Arabia, and this Gulf Cooperation Council was started in the year 1981 with Riyadh in Saudi Arabia as the headquarters. The present Lok Sabha has got absolute majority by a single political party, Bharatiya Janata Party, for the first time after the elections in 1984. In the elections of 1984, Congress Party led by Rajiv Gandhi got more than 400 seats in the Lok Sabha, and after that absolute majority was won by the present BJP government in the year 2014, where BJP got more than 280 seats. So after 30 years, one political party got absolute majority in the Lok Sabha, and during the previous 25 years, governments were formed with coalitions. 2 to 3 parties came together and formed coalition governments, and that was the period of 25 years. Now in the year 2014, BJP got absolute majority. This is after 1984 when Congress got absolute majority. Look into the next question. Mekedatu project is the bone of contention between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. This Mekedatu project is coming up in Karnataka over the river Kaveri. Karnataka says this is for drinking water, but Tamil Nadu is not agreeing for the view expressed by Karnataka, and that is the bone of contention between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Please don't forget, Mekedatu project is on river Kaveri and the bone of contention between two states, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Look at the last question. Who releases the World Heritage Outlook Report? The World Heritage Outlook Report is released by IUCN. IUCN is International Union for Conservation of Nature. International Union for Conservation of Nature, established in the year 1948. This organization every year releases a World Heritage Outlook Report. The organization is IUCN headquarters. Right friends, with this let us conclude this question and answer part. Have a nice day. Please do join for 10th question and answer session. Thank you.